For those of you who are joining for the very first time, let me introduce myself. My name is Michelle Mirapur. I'm a professional organizer and holistic lifestyle transformation coach. My company is Organized Life by Michelle, and I have teamed up with JK Moving Services to bring you this weekly webinar series called Workspace Wednesdays, Making It Work for You. And the idea behind the series was to provide a sense of community where we can all come together, and I'll be sharing tips and inspiration and hopefully motivating everyone to get certain things done and maybe rethink some things that they're working on and help you all get through this pandemic, because we're all in this together. So this is a safe space, a nice community where you can come and share your thoughts, share your ideas, your tips, things that are bothering you. If you want to vent, that's perfectly okay too. It's very interactive. Everyone gets involved in the chat window, so feel free to do so. Couple of logistical things for those of you who are new. We do have an email account called askmichelle@jkmoving.com. If someone could go ahead and type that in for me in the chat window, that'd be great. askmichelle@jkmoving.com, and you can send your emails, questions, comments to that account, and I will get back to you. We also have a survey that goes out at the end of every single webinar, so I encourage every one of you to provide your feedback. Let me know what your favorite part was, what your takeaways were, and also what would you like to hear about on future webinars and other topics that we have for you. We want to make this work for you. So with that said, I am going to present today's topic, which is how to get focused. As we are working from home or working on projects at home, I know we have a lot of distractions around us. I know I certainly do. I have come over to my parents' house about 2.5 months ago, sheltering in place with them, and it's a full house. I've got my parents, my sister, my nephew who's being homeschooled, so there's a lot going on. And here I am trying to run my business as well. So it can be very distracting. So I'm going to share with you about 5 tips today on how to get, maybe 6 tips if we have time, how to get focused, things that have worked for me, things that have worked for some of my clients, and hopefully they'll work for you as well. Okay, excellent. Hi, Ellen from Lexington Park, Maryland. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so the very first tip that I'd like to share is making sure that you plan your priorities the night before, so that when you wake up in the morning, you have a clear idea of what you need to work on, so you can start getting to work on your important tasks right away. So you've got that sense of focus. So how many of you wake up in the morning, perhaps haven't planned what's going to happen throughout your day? You might have your meetings on your calendar, but you don't quite have your task list or your to-do list for the day. And when you wake up in the morning, you feel like, oh my gosh, where do I start? You kind of have that sense of needing to scramble. Who has had that feeling? And on the flip side, who has actually planned their priorities and their to-do list and task list the night before? And how does that make you feel when you wake up the next morning? Are you more calm? Are you more focused? Do you have your sense of purpose, you know, everything laid out for the day? Let me know in the chat window how you feel. And while you're typing away, I'll let you know what I do. So sometimes even the week before, I'll sit and I'll lay out the tasks that need to happen during the week. And so when I write them all out, it's always easy to get overwhelmed because you end up seeing 20, 30, 40, 50 tasks perhaps. Sometimes my lists are very long. So what I like to do, because then you will lose focus when you start seeing your list growing that much, you don't know what to focus on anymore. So what I like to do is break down each major item into smaller, more manageable chunks. So for instance, if I have a major deliverable to do and it's going to take a lot of time, I have to break it down into small tasks that I can kind of chip away at every single day to get myself closer to completing that deliverable. Does that make sense? So that allows me to focus on one small baby step at a time. And then before I know it, towards the end of the week, I'm getting closer to finishing that project, which seemed very overwhelming and daunting and unruly at the beginning of the week. Okay, let's go to the chat window and see what people are saying. Let's see. Okay, I don't have any chats yet. Let me know. Okay, Glendale said the best laid plans do not always work with management restructuring your day on short notice. I did create some focused time on my calendar. Oh, excellent. So that's a really good point. So sometimes you just have to put a little reminder for yourself on your calendar that this is the 30-minute time block, or this is the 1-hour time block where I need to focus on this particular task, rather than spending the whole day just being reactionary and reacting to people's emails that are coming at you or other people's requests of you to get things done. You always need to have that time set aside for yourself to focus on what's important for you. Okay, thanks. Yes, Yvonne, ask Michelle at jkmoving.com. That is the correct email address. Perfect, thank you. Does anyone else wake up in the morning and have their priorities already laid out for that day or perhaps for the entire week? And how does that make you feel? Go ahead and type in the chat window. And is there anyone who has a problem with that? And tell me what you're struggling with. So perhaps we can help you figure out how to put that together before the end of this call. Maybe give you a tip or two. All right, so while you're thinking about that and typing in the chat window, I'm gonna go on to the next tip that I have, which is when you wake up, don't immediately turn to your phone or your computer. How many people, I know I've been guilty of that, so I'll be the first one to say I've done it. How many people have done that before? I find that when I get up, if that's what I end up doing, then I'm distracted from the very start of my day because I'm jumping right into all this news, everything that's happening, notifications, email requests, different things that people are up to, rather than tuning into what I need to focus on at the start of my day. Who has done this before? Let me know in the chat window. Okay, so we've got Jackson saying, I struggle to prioritize and lay out plans without external structure in my life. Yes, so that is always a struggle. If you don't have structure, then it's really hard to lay out plans. So the best thing to do is, instead of looking at the entire day, week, month, just focus on that particular moment. And it's like literally like taking a baby step. You've got one step in front of the other. So if you have one tiny little task that you can do, even if it's, I'm going to get up and make my bed. I always believe that if you can't get anything else done in your bedroom in terms of getting things together, make sure your bed is always made. So get up and make your bed, and immediately that's a small win. You feel a sense of accomplishment. So get that done instead of jumping on your computer or your phone. And then after that, you can sit down and clear your head and make out your to-do list for the day. It's perfectly okay if you don't have it done the night before, as long as you make it a point to do it before you get your day started, so you have your plans laid out for that day. All right, so the third tip that I'd like to offer you all is have a morning routine. So when you get up in the morning, some people like to meditate, some people like to do some yoga or another form of exercise, and some people really love to take a cold shower. And what that does, it actually wakes you up, invigorates you. It just brings your brain into focus, I feel like. I personally would love to take a cold shower, but I can't because I'm allergic to the cold. I will literally break out in hives. But I've heard that it does wonders for people who can take cold showers. It's like a big slap in the face in a good way, like wake up and start your day. So who does a morning routine ritual? Who has a practice in the morning, whether it's a jog, meditation, yoga, running on the treadmill, doing some breathing exercises, doing that cold shower, getting a cup of coffee? What's your morning routine in the morning, and how does that help you focus? Has it helped you, or are you looking to change that routine? All right, let's see what people are saying in the chat window. All right. Jamie says, I try to run almost every morning. Good, good. That's really good. Ginny says, a glass of water, then rebound for 10 minutes. Oh, nice. Okay, very good. Kanayo, I try a light workout before work, but I do run some mornings. Okay, good. So we've got some runners here. Jeff says, for some reason, I'm unable to hear audio, leaving for now. Okay, Jeff, you will have a replay. So I know you can't see this. If someone can type in the window and let Jeff know that there will be a replay so he can watch it later. And okay, so who else has a morning routine? Running is good. Getting your glass of water is really good. Any kind of light workout. Glendale says, coffee and news help since I have terminated news for the rest of the day. Good, that's a good idea. Yeah, sometimes the news is very distracting. So just getting up first thing in the morning and having your coffee, taking a look at the news, and then promising yourself that you're not going to look at it for the rest of the day is a good thing. Jamie says, walk my dogs. Yvonne, eat breakfast. Good. These are all great routines. So do you all stick to these? Is this your typical routine, or do you veer off from it? I find that sometimes, because I like to change things up, sometimes I'll do one routine one day, another a different day. I might alternate and do every other day, or I might do something completely different every morning. But I always make sure that it's something that invigorates me and wakes me up and allows me to just open my eyes with a smile and want to get started on my day. If you get up and you feel sad or down, I promise you, if you try any of these things, go for a brisk walk, have a nice cold shower, splash some water on your face, drink ice cold water, anything that will just wake you up and invigorate you, and then sit down and tell yourself that I am going to have a focused day today. That really works. Sometimes positive self-talk is amazing. So you can try that as well when you're getting ready in the morning and looking yourself in the mirror. Positive self-talk and telling yourself that I am going to be focused today if focus seems to be an issue. I know for a lot of people, focus is an issue, and it used to be for me for a very long time. So once I got into the yoga and the meditation world, I saw the focus slowly, the lack of focus slowly disappearing and everything becoming clearer for me. So I think it really helps if you develop some kind of practice that works for you. And that is what I found worked for me. The other thing that I want to share is I use a specific focus blend as well. So it's an essential oil blend, which is really nice, and I can diffuse it in my room. I can dab a little bit on my neck or on my temples or on my wrists and just inhale it, and it really, really works. And it consists of Hawaiian sandalwood and frankincense resin and lime peel. That really gives you a sense of clarity. And then the other things in there are patchouli leaf and ylang ylang flower and Roman chamomile flower, and they give you a sense of calming and soothing. So I really like that. Like I said, you can diffuse it in the room, put it on you directly. A lot of people use it for their kids in school when they can't focus. So it helps everyone with minimal focus issues all the way to ADHD, major focus issues. The other tip that I want to offer, which is very, very important, is turning off your notifications. When you have a lot of tasks to get done during the day, or if you have a big project deadline, a deliverable, whatever the case might be, please do yourself a favor and turn off those notifications. I tried that one day when I had a lot to do, and I've been hooked ever since. So I will turn off my notifications and I will tell myself that I will sit down at maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock, early evening, and that's when I'll respond to my messages, whether it's texts or phone messages or emails. But turn off your notifications because we've got so many things going off on our phone. We've got alerts that come up for text messages, for emails, WhatsApp messages maybe. On our laptop, we've got LinkedIn and Facebook notifications, and it gets very distracting, very distracting. There have been studies done where people have noticed that after a significant amount of time on social media, when you get on and you start scrolling, before you realize it, you've wasted 3 hours of your time on social media. And I don't remember the exact number of days it equates to, but it's a lot of days wasted throughout the duration of a year that you've just spent on social media. Now, I understand a lot of us have businesses where we need to be on social media, but sometimes we get on there, we fall into a trap. We might see a notification about something else that is going on, someone else's life, and then we start looking at that, and before we know it, we scroll and scroll, and we go down that rabbit hole. And I am speaking from personal experience. Yes, I have been guilty of that. So that's why I made a promise to myself to turn off those notifications, especially when I have a lot going on. So who here has fallen into that rabbit hole of notifications and social media because you just get sucked right into that? And tell me if you've snapped out of it and found a way to cut out all those distractions and redirect your attention and focus on what you really need to get done. Let me know in the chat window. Jennifer says, I looked up and it was an hour later. Yes. And I looked up and it was 2 hours later in my case. So, and that's not good. Elizabeth says, oh my God, yes, yes. So who is now diligent about turning off their notifications? This is very, very important. When I did that, I noticed that I was not only super, super productive, but almost double the amount of work I got done in that time. It's crazy how that happened. So for the 2 hours that I wasted on social media, once I turned off the notifications, I felt like not only did I get those 2 hours back, but I felt like I did 4 hours of work in those 2 hours. Who has experienced that? Tell me in the chat window. Okay. So Jeff says, my biggest distraction is the phone and emails. Yes. And sometimes you just have to turn off the phone too. You turn off the ringer, not just when you're in the middle of a meeting, but throughout the day when you're working, whatever project you're working on, even if you're not doing official work from home, maybe you're not working right now. Maybe you're retired. Maybe you have other projects and other tasks or hobbies that you need to work on. You can still benefit from turning off notifications when you want to focus on that project or task for yourself, because that's something you're doing for you. So make sure that you give it your attention, you give it your all, and you don't split your attention. So I always say it's really good to give your all instead of, excuse the term, half-assing your way through things. So I'd rather give it my all and have it done completely and be satisfied that I was able to focus on it and get it done, rather than diverting my attention. And that way, no one's happy. So the person on the other end of the email, or the person on the other end of the phone call, or your children are getting tiny little bits of you throughout the day, and you're not giving your all to any one thing. And at the end of the day, you're going to feel even more drained because you feel like you're pulled in so many different directions instead of making sure your focus is on one thing or one person at a time. So I'd like to invite you all, if you haven't already done so, to give that a try. Maybe for the rest of this afternoon, just turn off your notifications. And then I want to hear back from you next time. How did that work for you? How much more work were you able to get done? Whether it's housework, office work, project, hobbies, whatever it is, let me know how that worked for you. Okay, so Jennifer says, I got a new watch and accidentally linked it to the notifications. My arm was buzzing. I had to turn that off. Yes, I've been around so many people in meetings where their arm is constantly buzzing. And not only is it distracting for them, but extremely distracting for me, because as I mentioned, I already had an issue with staying focused. And so I do everything in my power to turn off the distractions, but you can't control when someone else brings distractions to your room or your space, right? So it would do everyone else a favor, not just you, to turn off those notifications or unlink them or whatever the case might be, or momentarily turn them off. Sometimes put your phone on airplane mode. That's not a bad idea. Jamie says, I just turn off notifications from Meetup. It makes my watch buzz a lot too. Yeah, so maybe you can turn off the buzzing. I don't have any of those watches that you all are referring to. I have very minimal devices for that reason, but maybe you can turn off the buzzing or disconnect it momentarily. and see how that works for you. Okay, so anyone else have any issues with distractions? I want to hear what your different distractions are. We know that notifications are very distracting. Things that are buzzing, our phones, our watches, our laptops. I'm getting notifications constantly that come everywhere. And, you know, for when I have certain meetings and projects, I turn them off. But other times, unfortunately, since I do my business online, I need to have my social media notifications on. So you just have to make it a point to just focus on the things that come through that are pertaining to your business and not the personal social media notifications that come through. I know it's very, very difficult. It was so difficult for me, but I've gotten into a routine now where if I see something pop up across my screen and it has nothing to do with something that I'm working on, but it's a Facebook notification, I won't be tempted to click it. I know a lot of times we're tempted to click it to see what that person's talking about, but resist that temptation. Okay, so Jeff says breaking news. What's breaking news, Jeff? Glendale says constant emails between staff are distracting. Yes, very distracting. So the best thing to do is maybe give yourself that one time block during the day to sit and look at the emails. And again, if the emails don't pertain to you, maybe you're copied on a string of emails, okay? That used to happen to me all the time. I would be copied on everything back when I was in my IT corporate career as a project manager. I had to be copied on so many things. But unless someone was specifically asking me for guidance or for help on something, I would ignore those emails because they were just copying me just because they needed to copy me. So sometimes you're just copied on things, but that doesn't mean you have to put your eyes on every single email that comes across your desk. Kanayo says just a lot of distractions within the family, but I do the best I can. Yes, I exactly know how you feel because, like I said, I'm at home with my family and there's so many distractions, but I put myself in my office or my studio space and just close the door and put up a little sign that says meeting in progress or, you know, please don't disturb or something, and people respect that. So if you have the ability to do that in the space where you are currently with your family, then I suggest giving that a try. And I think that would work because people will respect you when you say you're working or you need some quiet time. Jeff says there's breaking news every few minutes. I've had to turn off the TV while working. Oh, yes, TV. I've not watched TV in I don't know how many years, Jeff, because it is so distracting. In fact, I didn't own TV for almost 5 years. So I never have the TV on ever. If I want background noise, I turn on some nice music. And one of my other tips is to put on some music that works for you. I love meditation music. In fact, sometimes it's just the sound of a trickling waterfall, which is so soothing and calming. Make sure that it doesn't put you to sleep though, because it has that effect too. But put on something soothing, something that kind of gets you to just tune in, zone in into what you need to work on, whatever it might be, whether it's music, a song, something that just sounds like nature. I've tried so many different things, and for every mood or for every project or task, I feel like there's a different sound that works for me. So I encourage you all to give that a try. Sometimes you don't want the sound of nature. That can get distracting because you hear water and then you want to go to the beach, and we can't go to the beach right now. So maybe that's not good for you at this moment. Maybe the sound of your favorite artist is what you need. Maybe that can get distracting. So give different things a try and see what works for you. Jamie says piles of paper on desk are very distracting. Yes, Jamie, yes. In fact, we talked about that. I'm not sure if you were on last week or not, but we talked about getting organized and how to remove all the distractions on your desk and papers that belong to numerous projects that you might be working on. Can get very distracting because it's a constant reminder that you have so much to do, and a constant reminder that that you just don't know which one to focus on. So I always recommend picking one project, putting those papers related to that one project on your desk, and then clearing everything else off your desk, because they'll still be there. You can still get the projects done later, but they don't have to physically and visibly be in front of you on that desk while you're trying to get something done. And for those of you who missed last week's webinar, the replays are up on the page. If someone could type the jkmoving.com/workspace link up for me, they are going to be up there. So you can go ahead and take a look at that. And also, I've created a Facebook group where I offer all kinds of organizing tips and inspiration to people. So if someone could please type that in the, actually, I have it already typed up, so let me go ahead and paste it for you all. It is the Facebook group called Organizing Basics by Michelle. So I'm typing it into, or pasting it into the chat window now. Okay, so you're welcome to go and request to join that Facebook group. I'll have replays of the webinars up in there as well, and give you daily and weekly tips on getting organized, removing distractions in general from your life, getting organized and focused. Let's see, Glendale says, which results in your having all these emails to delete at the end of the day? Yeah, so going back to the emails that you get copied on constantly, sometimes I don't even bother deleting them because that even is a waste of my time. So they're not hurting me. They're sitting there. You know, if it's going to eat up at your space, then yes, delete them. But if not, you have the luxury of space in your email account, then they're not bothering you. Just leave them there. Put your attention and focus on something else throughout the day. Okay, great. So let's see, I think I've been through all the tips. So let me go ahead and recap. The first tip was to make sure that you have planned all of your priorities, either the night before or the week before, so you have a nice to-do list, and when you get up in the morning, you have a clear idea of what tasks you need to get working on. Second tip is when you wake up, don't immediately look at your phone or your computer, because that can get very distracting, and before you realize it, an hour or two, in my case, has gone by and you've gotten nothing done, and then you'll feel bad. The third tip is to have a morning routine. So whether it's a cold shower, a walk, a run, coffee, water, breakfast, meditation, yoga, whatever it might be, have a little morning routine to get you kind of moving, get the body moving, get the blood flowing, and then sit down and look at your to-do list for the day. The next tip is to turn off your notifications from your laptop and from your phone so that you can focus on your work and give yourself a dedicated time later in the day where you can sit down and respond to people's emails and messages that come through. The next tip is to set up some nice music, whether it's meditation music or your favorite artist, you know, not too loud where, you know, there's nothing wrong with getting up and jamming to the song that you love or dancing to it, but you also don't want to break your focus. So put something nice on that helps you kind of relax and not fall asleep, but relax and zone into what you need to do. TV is usually not a good idea, so I recommend music. And then the other tip I had is maybe using the focus blend, the essential oil blend that I mentioned, which is different plants mixed together that really help you with clarity, soothing, and calming feelings. Okay, so those were the 6 tips for today. Does anyone have any final comments or questions for me? Let me know in the chat window. I have posted in there the link to the Facebook group that gives you organizing tips and motivation. And also, you might need to add me as a friend first before I can add you to the Facebook group. Not sure if that is going to be required, but if it is, here is my Facebook page that you can request to add as a friend. And if no one has any more questions, let's see, Jamie says, where in Facebook group is access to the replay of the webinars? I will be posting those into the Facebook group, Jamie, under the videos section. So I'll be putting everything up on my YouTube channel and then linking to them in the video section of the Facebook group. Jennifer says, thank you for the tips. You're welcome, Jennifer. Okay, does anyone have any last minute questions or comments for me at all? Please let me know. let me know. And one last thing, we've got some things that people always share that are useful in the chat window. So for those of you who are new to this webinar or new to webinars in general, because I won't assume that you all know how to do the saving of the chats. I certainly didn't my first few webinars when I got started. Go into your chat window and there should be 3 little buttons or 3 little dots rather. Click on that and then there should be an option to hit save chat. So once you do that, it will save it into your documents folder on your laptop in a subfolder called Zoom. And then a subfolder within that that has the date and the title for today's webinar. So you can always go back and reference the chat window and look at different tips that people have shared or links that are in there. Kanaya says, thank you. You're welcome. Dawn, you're very welcome. Sandy, excellent. My pleasure. Brian, you're welcome. And just a reminder that we are going to send you the survey. It might already be in your inbox. In fact, please fill out the survey. Let me know what your takeaways were, what the favorite part of today's session was, what you'd like to hear about on different sessions. Remember, these sessions are all about making it work for you. So we'd love to hear from you to see what you want to hear about so we can tailor it to things that are helpful to you. And I do the same thing in my Facebook group. I tailor it to what people want to hear about. So if you join my Facebook group and tell me that you absolutely need help with your papers or you just can't get focused or whatever the case might be, you want to organize your kids' room, whatever it is, your pantry, let me know and I will make sure to put content up there to help you with that. Excellent. You're welcome, Jeff. Smith, Ron, you're very, very welcome. And make sure you all save the chat window. And I am so happy that you all were able to join us today. I am looking forward to seeing you all next week. In the meantime, turn off your notifications, get focused, and let's have an amazing week, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Bye for now.